So Scott, thank you for joining me and the rest of the Insurance Gig team that's on the call. First off, we really appreciate your partnership and support. Really do. As we're kind of launching this platform and kind of getting it off the ground, it took a lot of people that bought into the vision and had the foresight to be able to say, hey, there is a different and better way. So first off, thank you for that.
It's been a pleasure to partner with InsuranceGIG. I think the approach that you and the team have taken in trying to address those key needs of the individual agents or producers and do so in a way that's easy for them, where they're not having to try to create their own Frankenstein, but doing it in a best of breed way rather than trying to create from scratch each of those individual elements is exciting. And we and the team at UpContent are thrilled to be a part of that.
What does UpContent do? I'd like to just have that frame of reference.
Yeah, it's a great question. So we are a content curation platform. And so our goal in life is to help our customers and our partners aid their customers in identifying the most relevant and engaging and stimulating third-party articles, meaning things that individual agent or their firm did not have to create, and getting it to their fingertips so that they can then distribute it to their audience, positioning themselves as a place that can be trusted, a resource, not just someone who's trying to sell them that next policy, and someone that they can build that relationship with, where they have similar goals, similar ideas of the world, and they're using them as a resource to learn more about the industries that they care about or the decisions that they need to make. So we have our own crawler that's discovering these new articles worldwide across pretty much every interest area. And then we allow the team to easily automatically filter those articles on behalf of those end customers, like our partnership with InsuranceGIG, or allow that team to go in and individually select which articles they want to leverage. And then we partner with great organizations, great technologies like yours to aid in the distribution of that content to where it needs to go.
Agents have been disenfranchised. And the big guys, the top 100, have access to tech, but everyone below that hasn't. And we're on a mission to to bridge that gap. How do the agents that are using UpContent now, how are they using it? What impact is it having? What results can you speak to?
Yeah, I think there's two main thrusts to that, Michael. There's I'm not yet your client. I don't yet have a policy that's written by you, and addressing that person who's looking for that next policy. And then addressing the current client who has some policies and maybe thought of you just as someone who's going to do their umbrella policy, but didn't know that you did E&O as well, or cyber as well. And they should know, because when they have that need, now they know who to go back to versus trying to get something written by another agent who supposedly specializes in that area. For the first individual, we don't even have to look at the UpContent specific data. Google has done a lot of great analysis around differing industries and what that decision path looks like. And they've been calling this or coining this probably for 6-7 years now, this idea of the zero moment of truth, right? Meaning that we as customers, we as future policyholders will do our research first, right? Before we even talk to that first agent. And there's an interesting analysis of how many data points they're gathering before they make that policy decision of who they want to work with. But the other interesting piece about that is, I'm trying to remember the exact percentage. It was somewhere north of 75% of policy holders had their policy written by the first 1 or 2 agents they spoke with. They may speak with 8 agents, but it's that first 1 or 2 are the ones who end up winning the business. And so what do we need to do from the marketing side as an agent is ensure that we're one of those first 1 or 2. And yes, we could put a bunch of money into a Google ad campaign, right? So that when I type in cybersecurity insurance for construction manufacturers, your agency pops up. But the amount of expense that's going to be required to accomplish that is enormous. And that's where you get into the big guy, little guy challenge. But what if we showed and created that resonance earlier in the process? What if we were able to be sending content or getting information out to colleagues, to current policyholders that are not just valuable to them, but are things that they can then send along to a colleague and say, oh yeah, Michael, I remember we were just talking about, creating a new E&O policy for you guys. This is who I know. And they can just hit the forward button and send that campaign along to you. Much easier for me to do than say, oh, I'll get you that information. And then I get swept away with a million other things and never actually get that to you. And you end up going another path to get that policy written. So that's really where we want to focus, and where we've seen success for the agents is minimizing their time that they have to invest on the marketing side, ensuring that they're consistently marketing, consistently representing themselves and who they are, so that when that person is ready to get a new policy or to renew their policy, you're top of mind for them, and doing it across channels. There's been a lot of conversation historically around the agents need to be present on social and consistently sharing content on social. And it can't just be your own content on social. It needs to be third-party content as well, all of which is true. But what's the best way to make sure that your clients, your current clients, are seeing and remembering and being activated by your content? It's email. And you have that information. You can directly speak to them. So how do I get email communications out consistently that are beneficial to the recipient, so that when I do send something that is asking them to do something for me, consider a new policy, they're more likely to open that because they've been getting value from me for the last 3 months, 6 months with what I've been sharing.
So I think that brings out a very interesting highlight, in that if you're an agent and we're thinking about maybe what's an ancillary or a secondary process, which is curated content or marketing, that actually has a direct impact on what you want your insureds to do, whether it's, like you said, filling out a supplemental form or filling out an accord form. When you're in contact with them and communicate with them on a regular basis, they're twice as likely to act, which makes your job easier, makes you better at what you do, which I didn't even know that, and I find that to be fascinating. So that's a very interesting highlight. Scott, I want to kind of shift gears a little bit, and I want to kind of tie it into how UpContent plays within the InsuranceGIG playground.
Mm-hmm.
So do you recall philosophically or conceptually what resonated with you? Like, what is it about InsuranceGIG that was interesting to you? And maybe if you could help us out, if you were hired to be the spokesperson for InsuranceGIG and you had to kind of craft the tagline, what is the unique value prop in your mind of InsuranceGIG? Because it's complex, right?
It is.
There's a lot going on.
It reminded me of like a Trader Joe's is probably the best way I'll think about it, right? So you go into like a Walmart, which also would consider itself to be a one-stop shop, and I've got 80 different types of ketchup that I have to then choose from. And so I stand at the ketchup aisle and have like no freaking idea which ketchup to choose, and I probably will make the wrong choice because I don't have enough information and I can't trust Walmart to tell me which is the right ketchup to choose. If I go to like a Trader Joe's, one of the things that I like about going there, which is similar to what I liked about the InsuranceGIG philosophy, was that there's only really one ketchup, right? But you also have mustard and relish and hot dog buns and hot dogs and all those other things, but there's only one of each. And obviously they've gone out hopefully and picked the best one of each of those things and kind of put it all in one spot for you. So it's a one-stop shop, but it's kind of the someone else has already gone out and figured out the best of each one of those things, so that if I need a content curation email campaign, I'm not picking between 60 of them inside of InsuranceGIG and trying to figure out which one I want. I just say, yeah, that's the one. Cool, I'm signed up. If I need someone to help me on the back office work, hey, that's that API that I'm going to use, and InsuranceGIG's already done the work to make sure it all fits together and it's going to work for me. And so in my mind, it's that blend that really resonated with me of one-stop shop, but best in class coming together, rather than we know agents need all of these things, so I'm going to try to create a tool that does all of these things. It was, no, agents need all of these things. They all need to talk together. Agents don't have time to evaluate everything in this rapidly changing environment. We're going to go and do the work to figure out what's best and make sure they all talk together, make payment and subscribing easy, and make it all in one portal. It's a nice little digital Trader Joe's.
I'll take that because I don't remember which survey, but Trader Joe's was just voted the most trusted brand in
There
America.
you go.
So I'll definitely take that. For InsuranceGIG and maybe currently as well, in the world of insurance, who are your buyers? Who your sales team or who's reaching out to you? What's the persona of the current insurance buyer of UpContent?
Yeah, I think in a lot of cases, what we've seen is that the collective agents themselves are speaking to the marketing or comms teams from the insurance companies who are trying to say, you should write more of our policies, and we're going to give you these ancillary benefits to make your agency better if you keep writing our policies. And that collective voice has gone to the companies and said, you're giving us great distribution tools, but the content isn't where it needs to be. You're only giving us the stuff that your team is writing. And don't get me wrong, it's fine, but it's not me. Because if it was me, then it wouldn't be for her. And we're both now sharing the same stuff. And that doesn't make sense. And so in a lot of cases, the individual who's approaching us is that CMO, director of external comms, kind of the team that's focused on supporting the agents themselves, making them happy. But the demand is actually coming from the agent. And so another reason why we found this relationship to be interesting is that we're kind of skipping that middle step, right? And being able to serve the agent directly rather than trying to convince that person who tends to make the buying decision and has the budget that it's something that their agents need. We can address the agents directly.
I know I'm biased, and at least for our part of it, but even as looking at your share of this, collaboration, this is really freaking cool. Just for an agent to be able to come to one spot, create a newsletter with heavily curated content, upload their list, send it out in a matter of minutes. It's just, it really is cool. And, we're only as good as the sum of our parts. We've built this connector. It's like, I could have the best supermarket in the best location with the best customers. If I don't have any product on the shelf, it's meaningless. And as being one of the first and really interesting products on our shelf, this is really fabulous. And
Awesome.
we're really excited about rolling this out and making it part of the distribution and the content that we've got.